Welcome to our new video series. And before we get going, I'd just like to, well, first of all, say hello to everybody. Thank you for your participation and give a big welcome so that we can all get ready to take part in this series with all of our hearts. Now, one thing that I think is worth mentioning is these videos that we're making, these questions that we send out, obviously they're made first and foremost for you, our parishioners, but these are not something that are meant just to be kept closed up to us. There's something that we can share to all of our friends, all our family members, or whoever you think wants to watch these videos. Feel free. You have every right in the world to post them in your Facebook accounts, to tweet them, to invite friends to follow, because whatever we're doing here, it's for the church. And you can be part of that. And these groups that we're forming here, it's something that can be benefiting not only St. Peter, St. Denis Parish, but really can be benefiting everyone. So, that much said, I think it's time to get down to, like we said, our new campaign. And I think the most obvious thing is to remember we're starting Advent. And when we start Advent, when we're getting ready for Christmas, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably, if you're like most people, when you think of Christmas, you think of gifts. And that's something very Christian. That idea came from the church. So this campaign, we're going to focus on, we have 4 Sundays to get ready for Christmas. So what are the 4 gifts that I can give to Jesus? 1 gift for each week. And, I think the first thing that comes to mind is this. We're talking about God. What possible gift can I give to a guy who already has everything? Jesus is the Son of God. He made everything. He made the angels, He made the saints, He made the universe, He made my world, He made me. So what can I possibly give back to this kind of a God? And it's a fair question. The truth is, if God has everything, is there anything left that He doesn't have? And the answer to that question is yes. Because you see, when He made us, He didn't make us like robots. He made us free. And He gave us the capacity to choose, do I want to give myself? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Really, all of the other videos that we're going to look at throughout the rest of Advent, it's all going to just be different ways, different dimensions, aspects of how do I give that primordial gift of myself. I can't give God money. I can't give Him my health. I can't give Him any gift aside from my own person. Now, what does that mean, to give the gift of ourself? Because it's not a real obvious thing. If it were something tangible, if I were to give somebody, I don't know, a package of M&Ms, for example, it's something very tangible. I know exactly what that means. It's a lot harder, though, when we start thinking, well, how do I give myself? And, reflecting on things, the different weeks we're going to look at different things we can give, different ways we can give. But first of all, I think it's important to think there are different stages in my capacity to give myself. And that's what I want to look into this week. When we look at the spiritual life is normally broken up. The spiritual authors, the great masters of the church, they normally look at it in different phases of the spiritual life. One of the more common ways to look at it, for example, is the Via Purificativa, the purifying way, the illuminative way, and the way of unification, different stages of the spiritual life. Well, we're not going to get into all of that right now, but I do have 3 different steps that I think we can say, or steps that we can take to say, am I really living a gift of self? The first moment, the first stage of my making myself a gift to Jesus comes down to this, basically. When we get excited about Jesus, when we have some kind of conversion experience, when we decide, I really want to do something for Him, our mind starts thinking and circulating, what can I give? And we start coming up with a lot of different ideas, things I can do for Him. And all of those are good, and all of those make Him very happy. It's like when a boyfriend or girlfriend, when they first start to fall in love, immediately you start thinking about, well, what can I give this person in order to show them my love? I want this person to understand that they are loved by me, and therefore I invent different things. And those things are great. Now, there comes a stage in our spiritual life, though, when we start to realize, you know what? Maybe some of these gifts are not really the thing Christ is looking for. Let me give you an example. My dad was great at giving weird gifts. I remember when I was a kid, I almost dreaded getting a gift from my dad at Christmas because I knew he would go out of his way to look for something that's totally different from a gift that anyone else ever got. And I knew that most of the time it was going to be something weird, and I had to pretend like, oh, this is great. But the real question is, what do I do with this? I remember one time, for example, my dad, I don't know where he found this thing. He found some painting of a pig, and he gives me this painting of a pig like a joke for Christmas, but I'm like, hey, this is great, just what I wanted, a pig. And that thing never made it out of my closet again. What do you do with that kind of a gift? I think sometimes if we're not careful, we can be the same way with God. We can give God the stuff that we think would be great. We can give him the stuff that we think he might like. And he loves the fact that we're giving. Don't get me wrong. He loves the gift because he loves the fact that we are doing something for him, that we are giving something. It's a beginning. But bit by bit, we start to understand there are certain gifts that Jesus really wants in other gifts that he kind of accepts. There were two saints in the gospel that illustrate that, and both of them were saints. You remember the saints Mary and Martha, the sisters of Lazarus, the friends of Jesus. And there's a very famous scene in the gospel when Martha is going around the house cooking and cleaning and preparing and taking care of everything for Jesus, and Mary is sitting with Christ just listening. And Martha gets all worked up. She says, Lord, aren't you going to say something to my sister? Look, I'm doing all the cooking, I'm doing everything, I'm in and out of the kitchen, and you're just sitting there, and Mary's sitting there, tell her to help. Now, what was Martha doing? Martha loved Jesus. She was a saint. She loved Jesus. There's no doubt about it. But she was trying to show her love her way, on her conditions, her terms. And Mary understood better. She understood, I am here to receive what Jesus wants. I'm here just to be with him on his terms. He never asked me to make a spectacular meal. He didn't come to this house because the cooking was better than every other house. He came to this house to be with us. And if that's what he wants, then that's what I'm going to give him. That's gift of self. Now, we can ask ourselves then, how do we start to understand what are the things that Jesus wants? Well, we'll get there. I think one stage in the process is going to be this, though. When we get to an understanding that the gift that Jesus wants is not something, but is the gift of myself, there starts to rise a question. Is Jesus really more interested in what I am giving him? Or is he interested maybe in seeing what are the things that you're holding back? That's a great question to ask ourselves. Not so much, what am I willing to give Jesus? Ask ourselves rather, what are the things that I'm not yet willing to give to Jesus? What are the things that I'm holding back, or the things that are very costly for me? What are the things where if Jesus were to ask me, I would have to say, no, let me think about that one. Because that's going to tell us, where is your heart? And what Jesus really wants from us is going to be our heart. The Holy Father, Pope Francis, in one of his discourses, has a very beautiful text that I think can give us some light. And it's this. He says on December 17th of 2013, God entered history. God wanted to become history. He is with us. He has journeyed with us. And what he's basically saying is God made himself a gift to us. He made himself a gift by being not only with us, but by being one of us. And if he went out of his way to do that, God didn't send down a giant Christmas list and say, okay, well look, here are all the things I want from you. God didn't do that. He said, I will come, I will be with you. And what was the reason for that? It was so that we would accept his gift. And that's the third stage. When we're no longer looking around to say, what am I going to give him that I would like to give? And when we've already recognized, okay, what are the things that I might have a hard time giving, and start being willing to give those. But ultimately, when I'm willing to say, am I willing to receive the gift that Jesus wants to give me? That's when we have real intimacy. That's when we truly give ourselves. Because then we're saying, Lord, it's no longer about me, what I'm going to give. It's no longer about my conditions. I'm here on your terms. I'm here to receive what you want to give. And we can think of that again in any relationship. When two people are in love, like I said, each of us, of course, we want to give gifts to each other. But what would it be like to be in a relationship where I tell the other person, look, I'm the one who gives the gifts around here, you receive. You have nothing to offer me. Would that person feel loved? Would that person feel valued? So gift-giving love is a two-way road. And what Christ really wants from us, he says, give me the gift of your heart by allowing me to give the gift to you that I want. That is what Christmas is about. God makes himself as a gift to us. So during the following weeks, we're going to look a little bit into what that means. How can I be more receptive? How can I be more available to the gifts that God wants me to have? Until then, be assured of our prayers, and we look forward to studying and praying together. God bless you all.